In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of my wintering witch practices and my thoughts on goal setting and the cultural expectations around New Year, as well as manifesting and the process of how we go about this, and just how we can hold some space for the darkness of winter and really hold ourselves with compassion as we hibernate within the womb of the earth at this time. So if you too feel that you are deep in this process of wintering as a witch, healing, resting, and nourishing yourself deep within the womb of the earth, then do get yourself a nice hot drink, settle back, relax, and enjoy. Come on, my love. Come on, darling. Come on. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's so muddy here, it's slippy. We're in the woods, of course, we're in the woods. I'm with Coco and we've had a hard time getting started today. Maybe it's because it's just us two. Maybe it's because, it's so wet, muddy and cold. But Coco has been very resistant to walking today. So I have been at the woods for nearly half an hour, but I've nearly decided to go home because the amount of times that Coco has stopped and refused to walk. And it's so funny, and it's just like, it's exactly how I feel, you know. I saw this meme the other day that was all about not interested in doing any of the following activities: driving in winter, driving in darkness, going out in winter, going out in darkness, going out, or driving. And it was just so funny because it very much like resonates. I mean, apart from like going out in the day to the woods, like this is my happy place. I have to say I love the seaside as well. Like I've talked about the liminality of like the woods, the forests, the trees, and then also the seaside. For me, it's just so magical. This case in point, I harvested some of this a few weeks ago for decking the house with afresh, anew, for calling in blessings for 2025, as well as protection for the home, which is a key part of my practice at this time of year. I thought I'd do another wintering witch vlog in my folk witch vlogs series because I've had some thoughts recently. So we're about a week into January. I've seen so much content, as I do every year, from new age spiritual communities about, you know, manifesting your dream life in 2025 and turning over a new leaf and like releasing yourself from the past, you know, getting your sparkle back in 2025, yeah, manifesting your dreams in 2025, goal setting in 2025, planning in 2025, and that's great. I'm not coming for any of those videos because some of them are really, really valuable, and there are a few people that I do like to watch talking about those things. Particularly Gordon White did a releasing 2024 live stream that I really enjoyed. Jessica in the Moon, the Story Witch, she has a beautiful planner for 2025. There are ways to do this right, not like a whole genre thing. It's more like when you see courses pop up from nowhere. It's that kind of like self-guru thing again. It's like people trying to peddle a course for like thousands, and it's like going to give you your dreams, make your dreams come true in 2024. And I just think it's very much like snake oily, and I don't like it. But beyond that, I also just feel like everything in my body, every cell in my body is just screaming against it right now. And I have said it in my previous video, I'm definitely wintering and I'm not ready for the goals setting. So for anyone who's also going through periods of trauma releasing or healing, or needing to concentrate on inner work, focusing on shadow work, going within, deep wintering, deep rest, calling back parts of the self. For anyone who's engaging in those kinds of practices, you're probably feeling similarly. Or if you're someone who's like currently in a liminal space in between things, you know, if you are healing from something, again, healing, if you are transitioning from one part of your life to another, if you're going through like particularly large transitions in your life, periods of change, so many big transitions, and so many of them are very painful in many ways because they bring up other things. And there's just such a lot collectively that we're dealing with, not just personally, but I just don't feel ready myself to be setting goals because the land isn't ready for that. Like, it's not. Like, I'm surrounded by death. Apart from the evergreens. I'm surrounded by death here. There's dead leaves, mulch, it smells like dead earth, it's beautiful. And I love it. Can we just hold space for this? So really what got me thinking was that every year we do this whole New Year thing. It's societal, it's cultural, and essentially it's like an empirical calendar New Year. It's the Gregorian calendar, right? It's not the Roman calendar, and it's certainly not the Earth's calendar, and it's definitely not the land that I'm on's calendar either. So what do I do? What do I do as a witch to honour myself during this time? Well, of course, everyone around me, because I live in the real world, is still celebrating, or at least acknowledging or aware of New Year's. And yeah, what do we do? So I was with my family. For years we haven't really done a lot. And I think that that's because there's been some bad New Year's, you know, loss, grief, death, pain, heartbreak. It's one of those things. It's life. But I also had beautiful childhood New Year's because I had beautiful Christmases with family and such, and those are the people I wanted to be with, right? The people who I loved and who loved me and were loving towards me. But equally, I'm identifying areas of my life where actually there are people who are close to me who are unkind, who are cruel, and you know, I'm making changes in the ways that I'm showing up in those relationships because I recognise that I can no longer take responsibility for people's projected issues onto me, and I can take responsibility for what's mine but no more. And so even when people are close, sometimes there's work that needs to be done there, but again, that's wintering work. But we're also used to this, I guess, empirical New Year, right? And we have the celebrations, there's, you know, an egregore around New Year's, and you can, as a witch, like tap into that energy. And I've done that before, and I've done it successfully when I've been in the right place. And I've set goals before successfully, I've released successfully during this time of year, and I think you can do it, and that you think you can do it really, really well. If you are in a place where that's right for you right now, go ahead and do it. But I felt really called to make this video because I feel like I can't be alone. I think that there are a lot of people in pain, a lot of people grieving, a lot of people personally and collectively struggling with a lot that's going on, and I wanted to just hold space for it. So it's not that it's wrong to set goals, it's great if you're in that part of your life, if you're ready. But I'm not, and the land I'm in is not, and the animals around me are not. So I just wanted to hold space for it, really. Holding space for just wintering and being okay to be in this death mother energy. Going within and giving yourself that rest that you need. And I said it towards the end of my previous Wintering Witch video about how if you're not ready to release certain things, or if you're still in the process of releasing things, because it's a long process to release trauma, to release pain. It's not just like, oh, I want to release it, I'll do this ritual, oh, it's done. It's not like that. And a lot of the time I think that it's lots of micro enchantments, lots of workings going towards one larger kind of campaign of working, right? Or one larger magical intention that you might have. Especially if it's to do with like healing a trauma or working through pain or alchemizing pain and grief and transforming that into something that's powerful that you can use, some like golden elixir, right? That's magical. So for me, I'm very much in that process, in that state of alchemizing. And that I think is like a massive part of what the witch does, is alchemy, alchemizing, transformation. And I felt there was a point in 2024, I did talk about this, where I was like shedding skin as a snake. I've been through that process and I think I'm going to go right through it again. I've got a feeling I'm going to go right through it again. But it's not that goals are not relevant. I just don't want to put pressure on myself to do that, because I did make goals for 2024. It was more around the spring equinox that I made them, because as I said last year, I wasn't ready. So I made goals around the spring equinox, but very quickly the tower happened and all the goals they just went off the table. So it didn't happen like that, but I was forced into a position where I did make changes, and they were great and they were what I needed. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. But the goals, I kind of consider them to be irrelevant. It didn't matter. And some of the same goals are like on my list, and that's fine, but I'm not ready to set them yet. My plan is to winter a little bit more, to continue with the work that I'm doing, going within, examining shadows and really excavating what's there, what's within, releasing anything from 2024 that is lingering, you know, calling back energy that is stuck, and just concentrating on that for now, because that's where I feel I am. And then the goals, I think, I've also got more time to concretize in my mind exactly what those goals I want them to look like, because a lot of the times you need to truly experience some form of disappointment or loss or like failure to actually understand exactly what it is you even want. Because sometimes you think you want something and it's not exactly what you wanted at all, and you only realize that through trial and error, through this inner work, through this deeper work, peeling back the layers of what's beneath. So another thing that was sort of a meme that was going around on Instagram, I think, probably other platforms too, but like making fun of the interviews with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande with Wicked, which by the way I loved. Go and see it. It was so good. I personally loved Wicked. I've seen it so many times, and when I was at university I did some work for the production company that produced Wicked in London back in the day. I love it. It's got a place in my heart. Wow. I mean, do you think these trees have goals? I think they just know. I think that what they're doing is they're actually just conserving their energy, right? I think that they just know, they have faith. They're not resisting against the wind when it blows, which is why this place has been so dangerous recently, because there's been so much water and there's been so much wind. But there's no way this tree is making goals. I mean, wow, what an epic story that tree is right there. These trees are faithful. They're not making goals, but we are human creatures. We like to make our goals. We like to achieve them. I definitely do. I'm definitely going to be creating goals. Now is just not the right time for me, because as you can see, I'm surrounded by death and winter, and I am in the deepness of winter and wintering and healing and resting. And so I will not be making goals. I haven't made goals. I will not be making them until the spring equinox. Maybe later if I feel like it, but you know, it's all about where you're at. So even if the land is like this where you are, but you're raring to go and you've got a list as long as your arm and you're ready because you know exactly what you want and how you're going to get it, you make those goals and you go for it, and I'm 100% behind you. But I just know for me, I'm not. And I suspect a lot of people are in a similar position. So this video is for you. And if you haven't already given it to yourself, take the permission now, give it to yourself, that you are going to allow yourself space to move through what you're moving through, and not put pressure on yourself to set those goals and achieve them right now, because it's not the time. It's not the season for you, perhaps. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. So what also I've been thinking about is those memes I've been seeing, making fun of the interviews of Wicked, and they're talking about that holding space, just holding space for that, and it being like a big beam. I don't think it's particularly funny, but it seems to be something that people are finding funny. But I've said that, like we use that phrase quite a lot, and now it's got some other kind of meaning. But I just want to hold space for it. Just want to hold space for where we're at in the reality. So another thought that I have had that I forgot to mention, I briefly touched on, is that, you know, you might not be ready to make certain goals yet. You might not be ready for that process. I did craft my own process for this using the moons, the astrological new and full moons, when I was creating my guides and shadow work for the moons. And I do have a process for it, but there's one thing that I think is really, really important to talk about, and that is getting ready for it, and I've alluded to it. But there is a video that my friend Manuela made just before the end of 2024 about clearing out the energies of, it's clearing out energy essentially, and decluttering, and so much of preparing for calling in whatever we want to call in, whatever goals we're setting, whatever we want to manifest. So much of that is preparing, laying the groundwork, and you can't lay the groundwork with clutter, whether that's physical, mental, etc. And so much of that has to come first. And because I like to set the goals in spring and set those wheels in motion, I guess, at that point, this dark period, not only is it for the shadow work, the going inwards, the rest, I also love to declutter at this time. I will leave Manuela's video linked below because that's an amazing resource as well. I think I really, really, truly believe that if you build it, they will come. And if you create that vacuum, if you create that space, it's one of the Hermetic principles that it will be filled. So you need to prepare the space so that there's space for your manifestation in your life. But more than that, you need to make sure that you are mentally prepared for it as well. And that's the inner work. I'm going to put together some prompts for this, so I will put them on Patreon most likely very soon, so do take a look over there if you would like. So maybe some of that feels like it resonates maybe it doesn't. Maybe you are ready for those goals. But for me, I'm just sick of kind of following an empirical calendar and making goals just because everyone else says you should make a New Year's resolution. And sometimes it's fit, other years it has not, and I will continue to just follow the seasons within me. So yes, Wheel of the Year, I celebrate most of the Sabbats depending on where I'm at in my own wheel, but I do think I go by the land, but more than that I will go by myself, my body, where I am at. And I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you to really, really look at where you're at in your practice, in your body, in your life, and honour that. Honour what comes up, sit with it, and just ask yourself what you need in whichever moment. Try not to resist what comes up like the trees. Be in each moment and allow it. Allow space for that, hold space for it. So that's all I wanted to share really, just those thoughts. And I hope this video has found you well. I hope that you're keeping well and safe. I'm sending you so many blessings. Please let me know in the description box if it resonated and how you are doing. I hope that this new year has been gentle for you. I'm going to finish off this walk, be in nature with Coco, and then probably go home and have a wash like Coco is and get into some PJs and just relax. So from one wintering witch to another potentially, wishing you peace, prosperity, abundance, all of the things that you wish for 2025, as well as a lot of contentment and happiness. So please click the like button, share with anyone who you think would also enjoy and resonate. Please subscribe if you haven't already. There's Patreon, Instagram, an old TikTok page, Buy Me a Coffee page, Ko-fi, PayPal, and the super thanks below. So thank you again for joining me. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you again in another video. Many blessings. Bye.